scientific theories about the inferiority, especially also of Jews. So we see then also the next slide here. I have chosen for you these two very important writings. I hope you can see a little bit. One is called Know Yourself of 1881, and the other is also, you see here on the right side here, hope you can see it, Heroism in Christianity, which is also the propagandation of Christianity with the Aryan, with the Germanic blood. This is here Wagner in this period, when he had this very strong, also racial ideas in connection, even with his works. So, of course, now you can always ask, is that possible? How can music, in a way, this is very important discussion for us today, after the disaster of World War II with all the consequences. No? Can even music really transport such ideas? Is there not something like that? Can you really, later on we will discuss also, can we separate theoretical thought from the works? And I want to make it very clear, because Richard Wagner wrote all the details of the score, the theory, created his theater, and created his own newspapers or a journal magazine. He had very clear idea about the message which he wanted to have, and especially when we come to Parsifal, the very end even of the purification of the blood, then of course we can very clearly also find traces of impact on the musical structure in the work of Wagner. And so, with other words, you have to see his works and in a very clear connection with his theoretical thinking, which is also highly expressed, in addition to that, with Wagner's letters. Wagner wrote many letters, as we know, in his lifetime, and always in reference to these delicate topics I'm talking about tonight. We have the confirmation that he did not mean it vaguely. So we put together the different elements and we come out that indeed, when we talk about Parsifal, this is what I did at the very beginning, the very end of the purification was meant as a symbol also in a racist and a very anti-Semitic way. So with this kind of message, which Wagner in the city of Bayreuth left as his shrine temple, the Bayreuth Festival was created and presented for the first time 5 years after the creation of the First Reich. So Germany was looking, with the creation of the First Reich, also for a cultural center. It's also, of course, always in juxtaposition with France especially. So having a cultural shrine, and this, as we know, it was not by chance that all the leading families, including the imperial families, came to Bayreuth, to the premiere. All the, let's say, highest aristocratical and bourgeois cycles, and even industrials, were present. There was looking for also an expression in the art. So the Bayreuth Festival, created by Richard Wagner, had always this very strong political impact on German culture and politics. So we should see the next picture, and this is now the problem. As you might know, the Bayreuth Festival always remained for a very long time in the hands of the Wagner family. So so here we see the second wife of Richard Wagner, Cosima Wagner, who was, by the way, the daughter of Franz Liszt. You also have to know that. So she herself was a very militant anti-Semite. Cosima Wagner wrote her diaries in 2 big volumes. In these 2 big volumes, you can find 267 very sharp anti-Semitic which had really very racist also aspects. Cosima Wagner herself, in a certain way, developed, even radicalized the ideas of Richard Wagner. And it was very nationalistic, it was very racist, and very also, in a certain way, also very anti-Semitic. And I talked about the Bayreuther Blätter. She continued. This magazine includes 11,000 pages of hardliner anti-Semitic propaganda, which really is quite an appalling literature. So she herself, I think it's interesting, she had an extremely aggressive impact now as the director of the Bayreuth Festival. So we should see the next, also in this family constellation, and a man of course greatest importance is Houston Stewart Chamberlain. Who was Houston Stewart Chamberlain? Houston Stewart Chamberlain first was a chemist from Geneva. He had also was, by the way, relative to the other famous Chamberlain. He came out from this family, and he himself became already, in combination with Parsifal, a militant, even aggressive, also Wagnerian. He developed, on the basis of Wagner's racist ideas and Gobineau, his own ideas, writing 2 books on Richard Wagner based on Wagner's racist and anti-Semitic ideas, wrote one important book which had then many 43 editions, you know, in the First Reich, in the Imperial Reich, you know, you see the foundations of the 19th century. This was published, this was obligatory literature for all those who studied. This was part of exams. So it was absolutely favored by the German emperor. They had to read though. So Houston Stewart Chamberlain, you see him here, you know, in the background was Cosima Wagner, was even a cultural advisor of the imperial family. So indeed, the impact on German history in the consequence was very strong. Let's come now directly, so because I'm showing you now also the next slide, can you see? So now we see here this 2 pictures. Of course, I have written down what's the title all about. You see here on the left side a child is a little bit younger than 12 years, but Hitler, as we know, has seen in the upper Austrian city of Linz a performance of Lohengrin, the idea of the Redeemer, and as it describes it even in the first chapter of Mein Kampf, which is very important to know. And he was starting already as a child and even as a teenager to read very precisely all the theoretical thinking and the operas of Richard Wagner, and saw in Richard Wagner, his cultural and political model. Very important is to know that Hitler did not want to become first a politician. He wanted to become a painter, he wanted to become an artist. Hitler was not accepted in 1908 at the Academy of the Arts in Vienna, because, as we can see also why. So can we see the next slide, please? So then we have also this kind of, we see this one of his friends who highly influenced him also musically, who really helped. This was Kubitschek. These teenagers, you can see, was completely tracked by the music of Richard Wagner. Can you see the next one, please? So we hear Wagner and Hitler's development, especially in combination with Lohengrin, the Lohengrin prelude, the purity, the description even of Wagner, of his work, were a model for Hitler. Can you see the next one, please? So here we come directly, also I'm showing you here the passage of Hitler's first chapter, his very detailed description of the big desire to become a painter, and how much he deeply, every serious Hitler biographer, I'm talking, we have all the brilliant people like Balog, like Fest, and other people, come always back to that, also to this chapter in combination with the discussion of Wagner, that he saw himself, even when he, in his, before he committed